Hello everyone. This year is the 20th anniversary of the Western Union. I believe we all know Western Union does a lot of business with Africa. And I have the privilege and honor of meeting Ms. Ida Diarra, the Regional Vice President for Africa for Western Union. Hello, Ms. Ida. How are you?
Hello. I'm doing very well, and thank you for having me today.
Great. Congratulations on your 20th anniversary.
Thank you.
Great. We just want to get to business right away. And I would like to ask you a few questions about Western Union and your relationship with Africa.
Sure.
We are more than honored to have you here with African Post. I understand you have been with Western Union since 1999, starting as an assistant marketing manager in charge of US bound operations.
Yes.
And can you give us a background to your rise up the ranks to where you are today?
Thank you very much. I look at my career as, a fantastic opportunity I had to be on both sides of the transactions when it comes to sending and receiving money from, to Africa and from Africa. So I was fortunate to be in charge of our operations from the US, servicing the African corridors. And then a few years later, I decided to join our team in Africa, because I believe that this is where the action is really happening.
Yeah.
And started, with a marketing responsibility for all Africa. And then my role evolved all throughout the years to become more of a regional role where I handle all the countries, in Africa for Western Union. So
talking about Africa, where in Africa are you based?
We're based in Morocco, which is the headquarters for Africa. But we also have regional offices, one in Johannesburg in South Africa, and another one in Nigeria, in Lagos.
In Lagos,
Right.
Okay. I believe that the idea of going to Africa, you must have looked at the demographics and looked at the transaction, the finance part, amount of money going down to Africa. So can you give us some figures, an idea about financial aspect of it? Yes.
What is important to know is that what drives a lot of the transaction, the flows, is linked to the migration patterns. And as you know, Africans move a lot. It is expected, it is believed that about 30 million people, Africans, live outside of their countries of origin. A lot is happening in the US. A lot of that migration is happening in the US, but also in Europe, as well as within Africa. All this to say that there is a lot of movement that is fostering a lot of the remittance that we see in the region. In terms of total flows, the numbers varies a lot depending on the organizations that monitors the industry. It is believed that there is as much as 60 billion sent to Africa, but again, it varies by the different sources.
Okay. Which country can you single out as the highest place that you get more of your inflows?
The way I like to look at remittance is more of the impact that we have on a given country. When you think about it, in some of the countries, in more than 15 countries, the remittance flow contributes to more than 10% of their GDP.
Okay.
So that's how impactful the activity is for that given country. So we want to make sure that we offer relevant services in each single country we serve, making sure that we offer the relevant options to consumers, that we enable them to send and or receive transactions as much as possible.
We all know Western Union has been sending in money. Are there any other activities that you are involved in that impact Africa?
We are certainly involved in sending and receiving money, but I believe I would like, people to relate to us as more of a fintech organization, fintech company specializing in payments services. One of the things that we do is we also service small businesses, SMEs, through our Woo Business Solution entity. We also enable payments consumer to business and business to consumers. This is probably more relevant in markets like the US, the UK, and certain countries in Europe. but definitely an opportunity for Africa moving forward.
In the midst of emerging technologies, how are you embracing that? Because for those of us here who can just use the electronic
Yes.
Devices to be able to transact money
Yes.
with Western Union, how is it working with those in Africa?
You would be amazed at our capability in Africa to adopt new technology. When you look at the total numbers of mobile wallets that exist in the world, half of it is happening in Africa. Can you believe it? So, and when you see the impact that mobile has today in enabling financial inclusion and enabling consumers to have access to financial service, this is also an indication that technology is going to continue to play an increasing role in the remittance industry in Africa. And the way we embrace it is through some of the important milestones we have accomplished in Africa. In selected countries today,
Yes.
you can receive money directly from your electronic or mobile wallet.
So let's say I have my phone,
Yes.
and somebody sends me money from the United States. Talking about somebody in Africa can just receive it on their
He
mobile
connects to a
device.
platform, and he has the option to choose whether or not he wants to go to a location and get cash or deposit funds into his or her electronic
Mobile
mobile
device.
wallet. And we also do that with accounts.
Yes.
Today we have the capability to drop funds in 50 million accounts in Nigeria, for example, where a customer that owns an account that wants to collect funds without going to a location can collect to a platform and pull funds directly into his account. And this is going to develop as most of the industry regulators are pushing to have financial inclusion, and financial inclusion is going to come through those new technologies and digital platforms.
In this case, is the money converted to the local currency, or they can still receive it in dollars?
We respect the regulation in place. If the regulator allows to pay in hard currency, we provide the option to the customer to receive in hard currency. If the regulator has clear mandates and directions that indicates that the payment should take place in local currency, we of course abide by this regulation and pay in local currency.
So with that, what kind of rates do you give? Do you go with the national bank's rates, or you have your own rates? You said your own rates, exchange rates.
What is critical to know again is that as we operate in a given country, we do that within the guidelines of the of that country. So typically there are clear guidelines in terms of what rate can be applied, what flexibility do operators have within that framework. And we at Western Union are very keen on making sure that whatever rate we apply is in line with the guidelines. So if you take the example today of Nigeria, where the regulator is indicating very clearly the rates to be applied by all the operators within that industry, we of course make sure that we comply with this guidance and offer that rate.
You might be aware that Nigeria has, I think, if not the biggest economy, it's one of the biggest economies in Africa.
Yes.
And then you mentioned that you have an office in Nigeria.
That's correct.
Okay. So how is business, how is Western Union impacting the economy through inflows to the economy of Nigeria?
It is believed that the size of remittance for Nigeria, looking at all the organizations that track remittances in Africa, the size of remittance for Nigeria is estimated as $21 billion, dollars.
US dollars. Yes.
US dollars. So, of course, as a key player, we play a role in channeling these flows into the country. When you do a ratio of the size of the remittance compared to the GDP, it is the equivalent of around 6%. The remittance industry contributes to 6% of the GDP of Nigeria. So we believe that it is sizable and significant enough, and that we, as a key player, should continue to enable and make it easier for Nigerians to send and to receive money. One of the things that we found very interesting is the fact that recently, that was back last year, the regulator CBN allowed outward remittance within certain, guidance, but that was a phenomenal, development enabling customers to send money out of Nigeria, parents to send money to their kids, in school, or even, Nigeria being such an important migration platform, enabling the migrants there to send money back to their families in the neighboring countries. So, again, there are interesting developments happening throughout the continent, and we want to make sure that we continue to service, the African consumers in the most efficient manner.
So, for a Nigerian listening to us in the midst of competition with a lot of companies trying to break into the Nigerian market, can you give me a reason for someone to stay with Western Union?
The question about the service that we offer is linked to our commitment to the community to start with. As I was saying earlier, we've been in the country in Nigeria for 20 years this year. It's 20 years of amazing developments, looking at 5,000 point of sale, 5,000 touch points where people can actually go and collect their
5,000 locations that people can actually go and collect money from. Okay.
It's about the diversification of the portfolio of services that we make available. You can receive on your account. You can choose to go to a point of sale. You can, use your mobile wallet. All these developments for me are essential to continue to better service, the customer. One aspect that is key that one has to keep in mind is the compliance aspect linked to our industry altogether. All regulators are keen on ensuring that we know who the sender is, we know who the receiver is, that there is follow-ups and monitoring of transactions to ensure that the platform is used for the purpose it has been designed for, which is to support the families back home. So these are important elements that we pride ourselves in implementing and that we will continue to do moving forward.
Yes, and still talking about capturing the market, do you offer any kind of incentives during certain times of the year?
If we want to do, offer a proper service to our customer, it has to do with the quality of the service offering, number one, and offering a safe, environment and platform for our customers to use. It is also about making sure that we offer promotional activities during the back to school, for example,
Yes.
where we give out school kits, where we support libraries, for example, in several countries, or we support education by training teachers. This is truly part of our DNA, and we will want to continue to do that. And also, there is all the other support that we are involved in, such as the Africa Diaspora Marketplace. I'm not sure if you are familiar with this program, where we enable an entrepreneur in the diaspora, an African entrepreneur in the diaspora, to invest back in his country of origin by creating or developing an existing business through introductions with banks, through financial support, or even technical assistance. So our engagement with the community and the diaspora goes beyond the service that we offer, which we believe is essential because of the role we play in the economy. But it is also about being within the communities, both in send and receive side of the transaction.
This is news to me. So for somebody listening to this, how do you get to know where to find this information to tap into it?
It is interesting to go back to the website when it is, for example, related to the Africa Diaspora Marketplace.
Yes.
And also, there is the westernunion.com site that provides a lot of information on, the activities we're involved in. And, of course, there is the commitment that we have day in, day out with the community that highlights the efforts that we have and the work that we do with the community.
So, what is the future of Western Union for Africa?
I'm particularly excited about our capability to offer the service from an app, a mobile app. This solution is available here in the US, but we want to make sure that we extend that convenience to the receivers as well. I also believe that, through the new technology that we have implemented, Western Union Connect, WooConnect, that we will better leverage our capability to tap into all those, social media sites like Viber, WeChat, to continue to enable remittance through our systems. This is already happening, but we're going to continue to develop that to involve more countries in Africa and make it even broader for the diaspora in the key send markets.
Okay. So I believe that all the inflows are coming from the diaspora. How is Western Union engaging with the African community to let us know that these are the stuff that you offer to be able to keep our transactions with you?
The discussion that we're having today is one example, but there is, again, different outreaches through media that we do to inform the diaspora and the community. And our website is definitely one option to make sure that the diaspora is aware of the service offering made available to them, and also the work that we do within the community to give back to the community.
So, from the standpoint of somebody working in Africa for Western Union, what are some of the challenges?
I believe it has to do with leveraging the new technology that we have while continuing to remain compliant with all the different regulations that we have to abide by. Sometimes the regulation in place does not cover, technology goes faster than what the regulation have in place. So again, one has to be extremely careful as we embrace these new opportunities. Infrastructure also is key. As you want to expand locations and even touch points, and we are all aware of some of the power shortages that we have. So for example, if a bank wants to open a location up country, one has to take into consideration the need to ensure ongoing power supply, ongoing connectivity. And these are, realities to take into account as we develop the service offering. But the continent is moving at a very fast pace. These issues are the priorities of many governments and organizations throughout the continent. And we're really very optimistic about our ability to capitalize on new technology to diversify our options for consumers. But it is critical to know that there are so many support functions behind the scenes to ensure that the operations are ongoing, that the transaction process is flawless, that we have the right compliance and all that it will be limiting the true number of people servicing the region to make sure that we offer the best alternative option out there.
So I believe Western Union has covered a lot of areas in Africa. So which areas have you not covered yet, or are you yet to cover in Africa?
One of the biggest opportunity that we will focus our efforts on has to do with the small businesses. They also are underserved when it comes to, the financial options that are available to them. And we at Western Union have the capability through our Western Union Business Solutions group that I believe that this is one opportunity that we will continue to explore moving forward. In Africa, I believe we're pretty much everywhere except in Somalia.
Okay.
And again, this is linked to the availability of networks. But we've opened Swaziland last year. and we are very proud of the footprint that we have in the region today.
Okay, so you pretty much covered Africa, 53 countries at least. We can count on you. You are in almost all of them. You've covered about 99%.
Although we are in Somaliland.
Yes. Okay, great. So what we would like to see more is community engagement of Western Union in the diasporan community, so that we are aware of these services. Because as much as you've spoken about information, supporting a lot of projects in Africa, we also need to find out which area to find this information to be able to tap into. So it's something that I will call for, that we get more community engagements, and then also relations with the various embassies, so that we know what Western Union is doing for us, so we can always patronize. In the midst of the competition, we'll have a reason to be with Western Union. So on this note, I would like to say congratulations on your 20th anniversary. And it's been a very nice opportunity meeting with you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me today.